First and foremost, I want to give all honors, praises, glory belongs to Yahweh by Sham, Yahweh Shai, Mahasham, Wahab, Akak, Quadash. Honors to the apostles that are in the Holy Spirit and to the hopeful elect across the globe and to the few. I mean, a very few brothers and sisters that are listening and also learning in hopes of being saved within these last days. Because you know we're living in the last days of the last days, right? And we're going to get straight to it. We're going to go to the history of the destruction of Bel and the dragon. And King Astyages, who was gathered to his fathers, and Cyrus of Persia, received his kingdom. And Daniel conversed with the king and was honored above all his friends. So Daniel, he was well favored amongst Cyrus and his friends. Now the Babylonians had an idol called Baal, and they spent upon him every day 12 great measures of fine flour, and 40 sheep and 6 vessels of wine. And the king worshipped it and went daily to adore it. Idols, some idols again. Yeah, them idols. And it says, but Daniel worshipped his own God. So here is, you had King Cyrus dedicating flour and wheat to this idol. Then you had Daniel was doing what? Worshipping his own God. And went daily to adore it. But Daniel worshipped his own God, and king said unto him, why dost thou not worship Baal? Why are you not worshipping Baal? Baal is like Baal is an idol. Right? He answered and said, because I may not worship idols made with hands, but he the living power, Yahweh Shai, who have created the heaven and the earth and have sovereignty over all flesh. Over all flesh. Then said the king unto him, thinkest thou not that Baal is a living God? See thou not have much, he eateth and drinketh every day. Now, there's no idol on earth that can drink. Not one. There's no idol on earth that can drink. Because it's wood, it's stone. Okay? Then said the king unto him, thinkest thou not that Baal is a living God? Seest thou not how much he eateth and drinketh every day? So he was deceived by an idol. Then Daniel smiled and said, O king, be not deceived, for this is but clay within and brass without, and did never eat or drink anything. So the king was wroth and called for his priests and said unto them, if you do not tell me who this is that devour these expenses, you shall die. But if you can certify me that Baal devoureth them, then Daniel shall die, for he hath spoken blasphemy against Baal. And Daniel said unto the king, let it be according to thy words. Now the priests of Baal were 70, that's 70, beside their wives and children. And the king went with Daniel into the temple of Baal. So Baal said, check this out, Baal, the priest said, right? Now the priests of Baal were 10, and they had their wives and children. And the king went with Daniel into the temple of Baal. So Baal's priest said, check this out, lo, we go out, but thou, O king, set on the meat and make ready the wine and shut the door fast and seal it with thy own signet. So shut all the doors, make sure no one gets in, so nobody can eat. And the more when they're coming in, if thou find it's not that Baal have eaten up all, we shall suffer death, or else Daniel that speaketh falsely against us. And they literally regarded it, for under the table they had made privy entrance, whereby they entered into it continually and consumed those things. So when they had gone forth, the king set meats before Baal. Now Daniel had commanded his servants to bring ashes, and those who strewed throughout all the temple, in the presence of the king alone. They went they out, and shut the door, and sealed it with the king's signet. And so departed. Now in the night came the priests with their wives and children, as they wont to do, and did eat and drink up all in the morning bedtime, and king arose and Daniel with him. And the king said to Daniel, are the seals whole? And he said, yeah, O king. Baba Kishar, they be whole. So remember, they sealed up everything. Everything was sealed, so nobody can get in there. So therefore, they can say, "Well, someone snuck in," which that did happen. We're gonna go to it, and it says, check this out. And as soon as they open the door, Baba Kishra, check this out. Check this out. As soon as they opened the door, the king looked upon the table and cried with a loud voice, "Break not, O bell, with thee there is no deceit at all." Then laughed Daniel and held the king that he should not go in, and said, "Behold, now the pavement and mark well those footsteps are these." So there was someone that made a pavement, like an underground pavement, to get into this chamber to eat the offerings of the idol. And the king said, "I see the footsteps of men, women, and children," and the king was angry. So it was obviously the wives, right, and the children that came in to eat the offerings. And it says, "And took the priests with their wives and children and showed them the privy doors where they came in, and consumed such things as were upon the table." They were the ones eating the offerings. It wasn't the idol. And it says, Baba Kisha, therefore the king slew them and delivered Bel into Daniel's power, because there was a bet place, who destroyed him and his temple, and in the same place there was a great dragon which they of Babylon worshipped. Okay? The dragon is still worshipped today in Asiatic cultures. Not even just in the Asiatic, different cultures, they worship the dragon. Right? And the dragon, what's the dragon? The dragon is the beast. Also. So yeah, the dragon still worshipped today. And the king said to Daniel, "Would I also say that this is of grass? Lo, he liveth, he eateth and drinketh. Thou canst not say that he is no living God, therefore worship him." This is Cyrus speaking to Daniel again. When said Daniel unto the king, "I will worship the Lord Jehovah my power, for he is a living power. But give me leave, O king, and I shall slay this dragon without sword or staff." The king said, "I give thee leave," which is permission. When Daniel took pitch and fat and hair and did sieve them together and made lumps thereof, this he put in the dragon's mouth. And so the dragon burst in sunder. And Daniel said, these are the gods ye worship." When they of Babylon heard that, they took great indignation and conspired against the king. Right? And it says, saying, "The king has become a Jew." They were speaking about King Cyrus. they were speaking about King Cyrus. King Cyrus and Daniel, they were good friends. Okay? And it says, "The king has become a Jew and have destroyed Baal. He hath slain the dragon. He put the priest to death." So they came to the king and said, "Deliver us, Daniel, or else we will destroy thee and thine house." So now they were pleading to get Daniel delivered. Now when the king saw that they pressed him sore, being constrained, he delivered Daniel unto them. He was cast into the lion's den, where he was 6 days. In the den there were 7 lions that had given him every day 2 carcasses, 2 sheep, which then were not given to them, to the intent they might devour Daniel. Alright? Now there was in Jewry, a prophet called Habakkuk, who had pottage and had broken bread in a bowl. Right? So it's very simple. And was going into the field to bring it to the reapers, the workers, and check this out. But the angel of the Lord Jehovah said unto Habakkuk, "Go carry the dinner that has into Babylon unto Daniel, who was in the lion's den." So you see how the Lord can also use people to help you from another location. Habakkuk was in a whole other location across somewhere different across the world. But guess what? Habakkuk was used to send Daniel that food. So listen, there's things that are going to happen, supernatural things that are going to happen for brothers. Hello there. Got time for the Bible? There's another NPC, man. So you got there's a clear balance with this, man. There's a balance with this truth, man. Okay? Balance. She's an occultist, by the way. You can always tell they're occultist. And it says, Bible Kushal, check this out. "Lord, I never saw Babylon." So check this out. "But the angel of the Lord said unto Habakkuk, Go carry the dinner that has Babylon unto Daniel, who is in the lion's den." This is heavy. And Habakkuk said, "Lord, I never saw Babylon, neither do I know where the den is." When the angel of the Lord Jehovah took him by the crown of his hair, that must have been painful, and bare him by his hair of his head, and through the vehemency of his spirit set him in Babylon over the den. And Habakkuk cried, saying, "O Daniel, Daniel, take the dinner which God has sent thee." Habakkuk, sure. And Daniel said, "Thou hast remembered me, O God, Yahweh, neither hast forsaken them that seek thee and love thee." So Daniel arose and did eat. And the angel of the Lord set Habakkuk in his own place. Again, immediately, upon the seventh day, the king went to behold Daniel. And when he came to the den, he looked in, and behold, Daniel was sitting. Then cried the king with a loud voice, saying, "Great thou art, O Lord, power of Daniel, and there is none other side beside thee. There's no other beside thee." Hmm? And he drew him out and cast those that were cause of his destruction into the den. So this is going to happen for some of us. There's certain things going on, right? There's these groups, we know there's these cult groups, there's Eastern Stars, the psychics, getting readings on you and so forth. Now, and they're trying to accuse you. Now, the Lord's going to throw them into a den, into that pit. Our accusers are going to be thrown into that pit. That's how it's going to go. And it says, and drew him out and cast those that were the cause of his destruction. So anyone that's trying to cause you any misfortune, guess what the Lord's going to do? Chuck him into that den. Right? And rightfully so. Okay? And they were devoured in what? In a moment. As it's in a moment. You see that? Before his face. So hold on a minute. The lions, they were hungry. They never ate Daniel. They never ate Daniel, and that was for 7 days. It was 6 days, 7 days. And these men, they were chucked straight in there, and guess what happened? They were eaten by the lions. So it shows you, listen. Yahweh Shai is always working in our favor. Always. Always. Mm-hmm. So what does that mean? The lions' mouths were shut. Who shut their mouths? Yahweh Shai. Oh, he's of great power. That's why we got to trust. So we went to that. And we might as well talk on the topic of idols now. Because this was all because what? Why did this start? Because Daniel didn't want to bow down to them idols. That's how this all came about. Because he didn't want to bow down to the idol of Baal. And that's what's being pushed in this society. Baal. So they call it. Right? So yeah, we're going to cast on these idols. Now we're going to go to Wisdom of Solomon 13. Surely vain are all men by nature. So man naturally is vain. You are ignorant of God and could not, out of the good things that are seen, know him, that is, neither, considering the works. Did they acknowledge the work, master? So you see everything around you, and anybody with any type of sense will see, hold on a minute, stars, moon, grass, certain elements, there has to be a higher power. But they still did not acknowledge him. And it says, but deemed either the fire or the wind or the swift air or the circles of the stars. And a star is a circle, by the way. Or the violent water or the lights of heaven to be gods which govern the world. So instead of people worshipping the creator, Romans 1:21, they worship the creature, which all ties back to idolatry. With whose beauty, if they being delighted, took them to be gods, let them know how much better the Lord of them is. Habashai, for them the first author of beauty have created them. Who's the first author of beauty? Yahweh. He created all this stuff. He's the author of everything you see. But if they were astonished at their power and virtue, let them understand by them how much mightier he is that made them. For by the greatness and the beauty of the creatures, proportionately, the maker of them is seen. So you know, whatever we see which is beautiful within that's been created, we're able to get an idea of the maker. Because that's obviously what he loved, right? Grass is green. Most grass is green. What? Because he liked that. So he formed it. Okay? But yet, for this they are less to be blamed, for they pre-adventure, seeking God and desirous to find him. For being confident in his works, they search him diligently, and believe their sight, because the things are beautiful that are seen. How about neither are they to be pardoned? For if they were able to know so much that they could aim at the world, how did they not sooner find out the Lord thereof? They're doing all this searching, but they still can't come to it's God, Yahweh. And it says, but miserable are they that in dead things is their hope. It says it, who call them gods, which are the work of men's hands, which we were speaking about, which call them gods, which are the work of men's hands. Remember, that's idols. Whatever you build with your own hands and you worship it, that becomes an idol. Okay? And it says, and in dead things is their hope, who call them gods, which are the work of men's hands. Gold and silver, to show art in, and the resemblances of beasts, or a stone, good for nothing. You see? In other words, useless. The work of an ancient hand. So that's what it is, yet workings of ancient hands. That's what idols are. Hmm? Now a carpenter that felleth timber after his own set down tree to meet for a purpose and taken all the bark skillfully round about and have wrought it handsomely and made a vessel thereof fit for the service of man's life. So with this, you can make a sink, you can make a toilet, you can make a chair, you can make a ship. Well, you can make an idol, which is the work of men's hands. That's all it is, right? You can make an ark. You look at this behind me. It's an ark, which that word ark comes from demons, archons. You have archons out here as well. Archons are principalities, demons, and you also got archons that attach themselves to people as well. Archons, man, principalities. And they're out and about now, jumping in people, man, having them acting real strange. They're going to have the archons. And archons can also attack your technology as well. These are entities, man. In, is it the fourth dimension? Right? And it says, and taking a very refuse among those who serve to no use, being crooked piece of wood, full of knots, having carved it diligently, when he had nothing else to do, and formed it by the skill of his understanding, and fashioned it to an image of a man. To the image of a man, which is ultimately idolatry. Hmm? That's why the scriptures are against that, because that's the beginning of all sin. Beginning of all sin is idolatry. Beginning of all sin. Now you've got the army out now. Once again, once you hear the helicopters go past as well, that's when the army comes out. And some members of the occult. We know how this program is, man. But you can't fight against God's word. Well, you can, but you're not going to get very far if you try to fight against his word. See what else we got. Check this out. Isaiah 27. I don't know if this is fitting. And we got Isaiah 40. There's loads of scriptures on it. Loads. Go to Isaiah 40. Okay. We got Isaiah 40 here. The Lord ain't dealing with them idols, man. Here it is, Isaiah 44. There's no other God except for my God, Jehovah Shai. Let's go to Isaiah 44 and 6. Thus said the Lord Jehovah, the King of Israel. He's redeemed, the Lord of hosts. He's Redeemer, the Lord of hosts. I am the first, and I am the last. Besides me, there is no God. Who can proclaim as I do? Then let him declare it, setting an order before me. Since I appointed ancient people, and the things that are coming shall come. Let them show these to them. Do not fear nor be afraid. I have not told you that time and declared it. You are my witnesses. Is there a God beside me? Indeed, there is no other rock. I know not one. Those who make an image of all them are useless. Useless. Their precious things shall not profit. Gold, silver, we were not, listen, we were not purchased by gold and silver. They are their own witnesses. They neither see nor know that they may be ashamed. Who would form a god or mold an image that profits him nothing? Surely all his companions would be ashamed. And the workmen, they are mere men. And the men that form them, they're mere men, mere mortal. Hmm? Let them all be gathered together, let them stand up, yet they shall fear. They shall be ashamed together. The blacksmith with the tongs, because within these offerings they have the blacksmith, the tongs, and the little altar, which they dedicate things to. Works one in coals, fashions it with hammers, work with it the strength of his arms. Even so is he hungry and his strength fails. He drinks no water and is faint. The craftsman stretches out his rod. He marks one out of chalk. He fashions it with a plane. He marks it out with a compass and makes it like the figure of a man, according to the beauty of a man, that it may remain in the house. He cuts down cedars for himself and takes a cypress in the hole. He secures it for himself among the trees of the forest. He plants a pine and nourishes it, when it shall be for a man to burn. For he will take some of it and warm himself. Yes, he kindles it and breaks bread indeed. He makes a god and worships it. He makes it a carved image and falls down to it. He burns half of it in the fire. With this half he eats meat. He rolls a roast and it's satisfied. He even warms himself and says, "Ah, I am warm. I've seen the fire." And the rest of it makes a god. His carved image, he falls down before it and worships it. Prays to it and says, "Deliver me, for you are my God." They do not know, nor understand. For he, key thing, has shut their eyes, they cannot see, and their hearts, so they cannot understand. And no one considered in his heart that there is no knowledge, no understanding to say, "I have burned half of it in the fire." Okay? So these are all idols, and they're not going to profit you. They're vain, useless idols, and they profit not, as the scriptures say. Okay? So I'm going to shut off here. Lord willing, this was edifying. And until the next time, shalom to the hopeful elect. Shalom.